episode 9.
I know, and we have Barb Sines with us today. She is one of my most favorite people in the entire world. You're like a mentor to me.
Yay!
Aww,
She is the greatest person in regards to just I feel like literally living the dream. I mean, I say that all the time, but you typically live the dream most days, right?
Well, because I'm retired.
Yeah. That's right.
That seems like such an abstract
fantasy,
concept.
a fantasy.
Yes. At this point, for sure.
Well, you're young, okay? You're young.
Yeah.
But you've made it, and you've done such an amazing job with the different phases of your life, and that's kind of what we wanted to go over today is the different phases and how to balance that out and how to just say, what is it, Barb?
No. How to learn to say no effectively.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, effectively. See, she even says it right. How do you even get there? So, but before we do, can we have some cocktails
Of
before we
course
even get
we
started
can.
on that?
Of
Because
course
no
we
is really
can.
hard.
Yes,
for me
it is.
personally.
It is
Yes,
hard.
we want
It is
some
hard.
wine.
Yes. Okay. So what I pulled for today is La Perdrix. This is from here. I'll put it up here.
Yay!
I know because people want to see. So La Perdrix. This is from a
It's a
region.
pretty
called-
image.
Yes, it is. It's from a region called Costières de Nîmes, and any wines that have this logo or this kind of embossing on the bottle. It's in the Southern Rhone, and this is classic white Rhone varietals.
Ooh.
Grenache Blanc and Roussanne, and I can tell you the percentages. So 70% Roussanne and 30% Grenache Blanc, and this is aged in stainless steel tanks for about 6 months. So this is not oaky. This is not big Chardonnay type stuff. Even though you can see in the bottle, it looks kind of the color like Chardonnay, but it's definitely not that. Rich and tropical, and sometimes have a little bit of minerality. The Rhone Valley is my favorite place for wine.
You always say
talk
that.
about it.
Always.
And the whites of the Rhone are some of my absolute favorites. So I hope you enjoy.
Well,
cheers.
I'm glad
Cheers
you
to
didn't say no to
I
this.
was gonna say, cheers to no, but not no
this.
this. I love it.
So enjoy, and if you have some at home, not necessarily this, but sip along with us and listen.
That's so amazing. And you said 70% of
Roussanne.
I don't think I've ever tasted that.
Roussanne
before.
is
very
one
good.
of the main white grapes of that region of
lovely.
the Rhone Valley, and they do grow some in California as well. Some of our favorite wine producers in California make a Roussanne. Yeah, it's really good and it has a nice kind of creaminess that I think is unique and will stand up to heavier foods that we eat in the wintertime.
Yeah, and it's still easy to drink too. Oh man, it's so yummy.
Well, I'm
Very
so glad.
refreshing.
It is, especially after bar class. Barb does Pure Bar too.
Yeah.
So I know, look at her repping that North
Yes.
Georgia stuff.
Yes.
She loves it because you get to go to 945 because what? She's She's living
Because
in
I
that
said
life.
yes.
Yeah. You did say yes. Okay, so you have to tell people a little bit about your background.
Yeah.
And how heavy. I mean, you're just a boss lady.
Oh, please.
Describe the hustle life, because you hustled there for a long time, right?
Yeah, many, many years. So I just retired after 37 years of working full time. And I started out as an engineer, so my kids call me a big geek. Big geek. Oh gosh, Mom, you're a geek. But anyways, I had a very long and lively career, and I loved every minute of it. I was, towards the end, I was basically in the healthcare sector, and I ran manufacturing for diagnostic healthcare for Siemens.
Oh, cool.
So I had a global responsibility. I had probably, maybe 3,000 employees. And they were all over the world. And anyways, it was fun. We manufactured diagnostic equipment for diabetes, for urinalysis, for blood gas. And it was a lot of fun, a lot of challenges, and a lot of different bosses.
Yes.
Yay.
So what aspect of your career was the hardest to leave when you decided to retire?
Well, the people. It's always about the people. I mean, it's not about wine or working out or whatever. And I tell this to people all the time. about Pure Barre. New people come into Pure Barre, and I say it's really about the community. I mean, Lauren has made such a nice community, as you have, Amy, here at Talk of the Table. I mean, it is wonderful to be part of a community, and a thriving community, not just to survive.
Yeah.
Because, we all like to drink wine, right? And
Right.
we all like to work out, but, to thrive. And it's really a wonderful positivity, right?
Yes,
Lauren?
yes.
Yeah.
Right. So Barb has also done positivity calls. We do them together for the studio, and she was always up and at it, just encouraging everyone and lifting everybody's spirits with different, we had different series and stuff like that too, different kind of topics that we discussed throughout that as well.
Yeah, especially because, this time of the pandemic too, it's a difficult time and it's easy to get down. And, so how do you stay positive, or what are some things that other people are doing, or just little tips of the trade type of things.
Yeah.
So as far as saying no, when did you learn how to do that effectively? And how did you learn how to do that?
I love that word effectively, because I'm like, get me out of pen and paper. I'm still struggling.
Let's just rewind just a minute, and I'd just like to ask you ladies, and you in the audience think of this too,
she's pulling out a question.
Yeah. So,
So good.
why do we say no? What are some reasons why we say no and can't say? What are some reasons we'd like to say no, but we end up saying yes? In other words, why we're in a situation and we know we don't want to do it, but yet we say yes just because what?
Well, for me, I'm learning how to say no because I'm learning how to respect my own boundaries.
Okay.
And so,
boundaries is a good one.
And so when I sort of take stock and say, okay, do I feel comfortable about this within my own boundaries? If I don't, then I feel very comfortable about saying no and not having to explain the no.
Exactly.
And
but she's a stellar student.
But I don't always do it. I'm still working on it. But I have the framework that I'm trying to sort of play with. So.
Okay, that's awesome, because setting boundaries is a big one, and if you haven't thought of that before, it's something definitely to think about, because life's too short, right? It's just too short, and you've got so many people pulling at you for different things to do, and there's some things you want to do and some things you don't. So you have to set those boundaries. So that's a good one.
I know. Oh man. So I'm gonna get really heavy on some people, but mine is guilt and shame. So I am a huge perfectionist that I'm learning how to unravel that and know that that doesn't really exist. So if you're out there, I've done the groundwork for you. It's not real. But that I used to always think that I had to be something else for somebody else. Like they needed that. They had to have that, oh, you're not coming to this, or no, you're not going to be a part of this. You told me no, why? Like you can do the, and it just, the guilt of not being able to give that person 110%. And without thinking, I would say yes. And then I couldn't give 110%. And then that became the shame, right? Because then I was ashamed that I could not fulfill the yes. Because I should have said no. And that has been such a mistake after mistake, and I'm still doing it.
So I'll tell you what, that's the number one reason. The number one reason is because you're trying to please others. Okay, you're a people pleaser.
Yes.
And really, if you go back in time, ever since you were little, I mean, we learned to say no at a really young age, right? Our parents would say something, no.
But no was like targeted as negative.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like I always was like, oh gosh, no, I can't say no, that's not right.
Right. You were taught that from your parents. You know, that maybe it's disrespectful.
Yes.
Or maybe, saying no to your parents is hard, right? Or saying no to your spouse. Or
still is to this day.
Right.
I'm like, still call my mom and I'm like, yes.
I don't want to do what Yeah, so those are some really, really tough reasons, right? And so I think a real good one to focus on is the boundaries, right? And as you establish your own boundaries, guess what we all have? We all have 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
We don't have any more or any less.
Right. Are you sure? Did you
well,
calculate
in your day,
that right?
Lauren, because you don't sleep, you probably
I know,
got an extra 10.
right. Yes, for the rest of us who don't wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
So anyways, I mean, there's different ways to say no, right? And mostly women cannot just like be the Band-Aid approach, which is just rip it off and say no.
Right.
And not give a reason or anything. It's usually, oh, I'm so sorry.
Right.
I mean, I really want to, but I just can't.
Yeah.
And it's because, quick, think of something. But the worst thing to do is to lie.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest and to be polite about it. Oh, I'd really love to come to your party or your wine tasting, but I can't on that day. However, keep me in mind for the next time. Or, offer some sort of, hey, I really would like to, however, I can't.
That it's not you, or it's not the other person.
Yeah, don't
it's
take it
that,
personally.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
and I think also that kind of a statement almost eases you into the no.
It does.
Because you're not giving a reason that's a lie.
Right.
But you're giving an out to say, hey, don't forget about me.
Right.
I still want to be involved. I still want to be part of this. I just can't do this right now.
Right.
I think for me too, that was really the definitiveness of no scared me.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought the same like you, where if I say no, then they're not going to ask me again. This is it. This is the one and only time. And if I don't take advantage, this is my only time. And if I don't say yes right now, then they're never going to ask me again. And so I think being able to really realize that like you said, when you think, I really only have 24 hours in this day. And can I give this and feel okay about this? And if I can't, then I need to feel okay about saying no and feeling good about saying no and not feeling guilty or all of those things that we all
And there's
kind of
another
swirl in.
really good trick, and that is,
Ooh, do tell.
we are all very busy people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yay? Yay.
Yes.
Me not so much, but
We
Oh,
want your life, Barb.
but another one is, I've got a lot on my plate right now.
Mm-hmm.
I would really like to help you, but I've got a lot on my plate right now. But please check in with me later, or I'll check in with you later, or I hope it goes well, or whatever.
Right.
But don't be afraid to tell people that you're just overwhelmed right now, because the worst thing you can do is say yes and then be totally overwhelmed and not serve anybody.
Right.
I'm like,
And then you feel shame and all this other stuff.
when
Like, I
then,
should
like,
have just said no.
the timeline too, though, that's something that I've learned, and that you actually taught me when this is Yoda right here. But I start to think about actually just taking a pause too. Normally I would not even take a pause, and everybody, I'm like a tornado, so it's just like yes, and then I get home and I'm like, what did I just do? But so now I'm starting to be like, hey, can I get back to you? So it is,
that's perfect.
It gives me some time to sit on it, because I don't normally sit on
Tell
it.
them, hey, I'll get back to you. I can't decide right now. I'll get back to you. That's
Just
perfect.
give me a moment to figure this out, because
That's really
I
good.
want to figure it out, and instead of me jumping again and then me jumping off the cliff and drowning, because I jumped for someone, but then I ended up being underwater. So
and you overcome it.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
So that was that is my biggest job as of like today, right now. I still don't say no all the time as much as I should, but it's like, can I just pause on it? Probably still going to say yes. I'm still in that phase. I'm still trying to learn, but it gives me a minute to just really think about it.
That's
I'm
great.
like,
And I think
crap.
that's a perfect, for people that are always jumping to say yes, that's a perfect way for like an entry to say no. Just giving yourself that pause. I think that's perfect. I think that's absolutely perfect.
And that's so funny. We talked about, you brought up the kid thing. I, like, thinking about that, you always, I mean, even, with dogs, I might be getting a new puppy. Graham, if you see this, I'm sorry, we're getting a new dog. But it's like, no, you tell the puppy, no. And it's like, it's like to stop the movement, to stop something. And so that's why when you hear that, and you even say too, it's like so definitive. It's like, well, but it's not. It's really not.
And
you think of it as
no
very
right
harsh.
this second.
Yes, I think of it as harsh.
Yeah, it's blunt. It's just something that's not you. It's like, no, I want to be helpful. I want to, reach out.
Right. Well, and if I think we take it in a way too, if somebody's asking you to do something, most of the time it's for a really good reason.
Yeah.
They want you to be there. They want your presence. And to feel enough self-confidence to know that whether you say yes or no, they still wanted you. They still wanted your presence there. And and the fact that they asked you is the important thing. Whether you're there or not is not necessarily, it's up to you, right? It's that's yours to decide. I had a somebody told me yesterday to keep your own tray. Don't give your tray to someone else or take someone else's tray. Keep your own tray and make decisions with your own tray, not because you're giving it to somebody else. And I think a lot of times when I was saying no or wasn't saying no, I was trying to take somebody else's tray and make, the fixes there and give it back to them. And that's not necessary.
You can't hold multiple trays.
You can't. You got to just hold your own. And that goes more back to me with the boundaries and being able to sort of set those things, and that helps me say no sometimes.
And it's good when I've actually said no this year.
One
time. No. But it was actually really good because the person that I said
that's
no
what I was
to,
going to go to next. How did that feel?
First of all, it was like I just can't. I'm so sorry. I wish I could, but just now is not a good time. Kind of exactly the way you explained it. And they were like, absolutely, no worries. It's gonna be okay. And then I had an event this weekend, and I was like, I can't do it. I was really gonna go, and then I was like, I can't do it. And everybody's like, it's okay, next time. And I'm like, wow. Okay. Yeah. But then, I was sitting there, I was like, oh man, I should have waited, or I should have done it. But, and that's what I'm working on. But it's like the person.
Right.
Totally fine.
Yeah. And
totally
it's
fine.
such a
And they were appreciative.
experience.
Yeah. They were thankful that I gave them the true and honest.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
That's so true. And it's such a freeing experience once you learn how to do it. Is, just try it, and it's not going to be perfect. But guess what? People are forgiving.
Yes.
And people want you to be the beautiful you that you are. And so what if you can't do it? Now, there's a pushback. A lot of times people give you a pushback.
Oh gosh.
Right?
Hold on. Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Barb, you are so delightful.
So you maybe the first time you try, or the second time you try, or the 90th time you try, you're like, no, and I'm going to stick with it. But Lauren, you're so good at this. We need you. I mean, please. Or if you don't do this, I'm going to be so mad.
I'm really disappointed.
Disappointed.
I'm so disappointed
knife
that you
in the
won't
heart
come
for
to
me.
my party. I'm so disappointed. So I have to tell a brief story. So I had a boss one time, and not too long ago, my last boss that I had, his daughter was making her bat mitzvah. And this was up in New Jersey. And so he had 10 direct reports. And he's the president of our company, right? And anyways, he sends us out these beautiful invitations. I mean, beautiful. So we're all chit-chatting. He's got 10 direct reports. We're all chit-chatting. And they're like, oh, we've got to go to this. We've got to go to this. And I'm like, well, I'm not going. You're not going?
Barb, I'm sure they shut down.
And they were like, but it's David Stein.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't go to his daughter's bat mitzvah, I mean, are you sure you want to say no to your boss? And I'm like, you know what? I just can't do it. It's just, there's too much on my plate. And besides, I commute every week from Atlanta to Boston. Okay? And this was a weekend thing. So so I went into him to tell him, because I wasn't going to just
text
no.
him.
RSVP.
So I went in and I said, David, I'd like to chat. Oh yeah, what's going on? And I said, I just want you to know, I'm so sorry I can't make it to your daughter's bat mitzvah. He goes, what? And I said, yeah. I said, I have so few time with my family and such little time with my family, and the weekends are really special to me. And that's the only time I'm home, because during the week, 5 days a week, I'm on a plane somewhere, going somewhere, doing something. And I said, so this is my family time, and this is something I really cherish. And he said, you mean my daughter's bat mitzvah isn't important to you? And I said,
wow.
Are you kidding? I said, it's very important to me, and don't take it personally that I won't be there. But my boundary is my weekends are my weekends.
With your family too.
And he said, well, then invite your husband and your family. Bring them.
Oh.
And I said, oh, how nice.
Yes.
No, they're not.
Yeah, well, that's where I jumped in.
So anyways, long story short, I mean, all my people at work were like, I can't believe you said no, that's all he's talking about. He is going to come after you, which he did.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? I held to my no, and I did it authentically.
Yes.
I thought I did, and I did it truthfully.
Yeah.
And, I sent her a nice check, so she
Yeah.
should be
Right.
Well, that's all she probably
She
did.
didn't
Anyway,
know
you know
about
what I
she
mean?
didn't know
She was
me
a kid.
anyway.
Right, come on.
Right.
She's 13. She didn't
Right.
know me anyway.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
oh. But anyways,
But you
yeah.
can't, there are people like that you have to,
Right.
not necessarily battle, but they just really want you
Yeah.
there. And sometimes that can turn into a pressure
Yes.
versus,
Yes.
just wanting them wanting to actually just say, hey, I really do want you there and I really do care about it. It just becomes more of a push.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I think in that situation, I think it was a very much. I would imagine that he was very much respectful of you holding your ground.
I think at the end he was. 'Cause he
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the whole time, the month before, it was every single week, and he'd pressure me like in staff meetings.
Mm-hmm.
So, Barb, have you changed your mind yet?
Oh,
Are you
man.
going to come to my daughter's bat mitzvah? You're the only one around this table that's not coming. I'm
Yeah.
like,
As you sink down low in your
and people
chair.
were like, how can you take that? And I'm like, it's David. I know David. He means well.
Yeah.
I
love that.
would assert that kind of behavior was probably how you got and why you got to where you were, because I think that
you're
is
so
very,
sweet.
very, very
Agreed.
commendable. Yes.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And that's why, you, of all people, just having those experiences and being able to share that with so many people too, that's why we needed her on this episode. We needed your help, Barb. Oh my gosh. And we love having you.
So
It's
wait,
so
so
awesome.
what is your absolute favorite thing about retirement?
Oh, yeah, before we...
Okay,
Yeah.
I've said
Yeah.
it once already. It's very clear. It's the freedom of your calendar.
Yeah.
You get to decide every single day, every single moment of every single day, what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And how you're going to make a difference.
And I know.
What?
You can't
Who
even
is that?
imagine.
Who is that?
You can't
Yeah.
even imagine. It's so freeing and so liberating and so fun.
Yeah.
So I choose to be here.
That's
You know
awesome.
what? Yeah,
And we are so happy.
And you know what? Cheers to
Cheers to
you
you.
saying no,
Yes,
and
and
to you
thank
literally
you.
living
Cheers.
the dream.
Yes.
The dream, and to nothing on the calendar.
Aha. Yay.
Until next week.